Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today we're getting ready and we're just gonna chat. We are gonna just chat, get ready, do my makeup. I feel like going a little extra with my makeup today and just kind of glamming it up, feeling really good and beautiful today. So let's do that. I'll be dropping some tips and tricks throughout this like I always do. Let me share with you what I already have on my skin because I did already do my foundation. I used the Basma Beauty foundation sticks and I used two shades. I used 27, which is my actual shade. So I used this all over my face, and then I used the shade 14 for bronzer. So it's a foundation shade that's just deeper than my skin tone, and I use that as bronzer. I wanted like a really natural looking bronze, so I did that. You can always do that with foundation if you want something a little more natural looking. But now that in this video, I'm gonna kind of layer an extra bit of bronzer, and I'm gonna go in with this Tarte Shape Tape Glow Bronzer, and we're just gonna kind of add a little extra on top of what I already have on to just make it a little oomph. And this has a slight like shimmer to it. I don't want to say shimmer, more of a glow. And I'm taking a big fluffy brush. This is the BK Beauty 103. And this brush head has gotten pretty large. So it looks a little larger than like a brand new one. I'm just gonna press this onto the cheeks just to deepen that bronze and kind of give a little bit of a sheen. I'm gonna take some in my hairline too. I really want to like warm up the face. Okay, so I really want a pretty bronze face today. I'm gonna run that over my nose, but I want to keep the under eye brighter and lighter. So I'm gonna go in to kind of brighten that, and I'm gonna use this actually foundation powder. This is from Maybelline. It's the Super Stay Full Coverage Foundation Powder. I just discovered this last week and it is so good, you guys. Because it's a foundation, I'm gonna be real careful not to apply too much of it because I'm gonna apply this under my eyes and I don't want obviously it to look heavy, but I do want more brightness. And actually, I'm not gonna go right under my eyes. I'm gonna go kind of more right here on my, like right at the top of my cheekbone, just to kind of brighten that area up. And I'm gonna take a little bit and put it right here in the center of my forehead. And then I'm gonna powder my nose just to eliminate any shine. Now, whatever's left over my brush, I'm gonna sweep it underneath my eyes. Not much product is there. I just wanna lightly set under the eyes, prevent that concealer from creasing. And then I'm gonna go right here and layer this a little bit. I want it a little brighter. Yeah, that looks good. So now that I've got some bronze happening here, I want to do a really soft, subtle cheek color. I've really been enjoying this blush from MAC. This is the Glow Play blush in the shade So Natural. What I love about this is it is really, really subtle. The texture of this is kind of like a cream, but almost like a cream to powder. It's like a bouncy, you know those bouncy blush products or bouncy bronzers? That's what it's like. So I'm gonna take this and I'm actually gonna take my BK Beauty 106 foundation brush, and we're just gonna apply this right on the apples of the cheek and kind of sweep up. This is gonna give more of a glow to the skin. You can see that it really lights up the cheek, but the color is really soft. Like I'm layering it pretty heavily so that I get some color, and I'm using a pretty dense brush so that it picks up a lot of product. Okay, let's go in with eyes. I'm gonna prime my eyes with the Milani eyeshadow primer. This is a really great drugstore primer. It's actually great in general, drugstore or not. Now, when you're using an eye primer, you really wanna make sure that you shear that layer out, and you wanna blend it from the lashes up to like really fade into underneath the brow. You don't wanna concentrate it just on the lid, and you don't wanna make it too thick, because what happens is when you go and apply powder on top of it, it's really gonna stick right there, and then you're gonna have a very difficult time getting a soft diffused blend where that primer stops. So make sure that you really shear it out. Use your finger if you want to. You can also set the area with a translucent powder just to kind of minimize that tacky feeling so that when you go in with a darker eyeshadow, it doesn't stick. But I feel like I blended it in pretty good, so I don't need to do that. I want to use a mini palette today. I want to keep the eyes pretty simple, and I want to use one small palette to achieve just a soft, subtle look. Oh, and you know what I want to use, actually, if I can find it? So I'm gonna go in with this mini Kevyn Aucoin palette. This is the Contour Eyeshadow palette, and I got the shade, I believe the name of the shade is Light. You can see it has 6 colors in here. We got a few mattes, and we have a few shimmers on the bottom. This palette really has everything you need to create a complete look. So I'm gonna start by actually taking the lightest shade here. We're just gonna kind of blend that underneath the brow, just to give a little highlight to the brow bone and lift the brow. This is a pretty stark white shade, but I'm using a big fluffy eyeshadow brush, so it's not applying a lot. I want to show you how different this would apply to the skin if I use a different brush. So this brush is a little more dense. It's going to pick up more product and apply more product. So do you see the difference? Like, do you see how much more intense this applies it than this brush? So that's why you want to make sure that you're using the right brushes for the right application. So now I'm just taking that crease brush to kind of soften what I just applied because I don't want it to be too stark white. Okay, next we're gonna go in and start to build a really soft crease color. So I'm gonna go in with this matte shade here. It's neutral, it's a few shades deeper than my skin tone. We're gonna use the same eyeshadow brush and we're just gonna sweep this softly into the crease. This is gonna create some definition. It's also gonna lift the eye a little bit. It's gonna give the illusion of a more defined crease and more lid space. And I'm just going back and forth, back and forth. My eyes have they're not quite shaped the same. One eye is smaller than the other, less open. So I'm kind of compensating for that with the makeup. Okay, perfect. So I've actually built that up to be a little heavier than I intended, but it looks good. There's no regrets. We're just evolving the intention here with this look. Okay, so we're about even. Next, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna actually take this darker shade, but I'm gonna change brushes because this brush is large and I want more control since this color is so dark. So I'm going in with the A502. This is the collaboration we did with Angie Hot and Flashy, and she did such a great job on these crease brushes. She has great crease brushes for smaller spaces. This one's great because it's really tight and fine, but it's still got a round fluffy tip, so you can still get some good blend with this. I'm gonna take this deep shade. I'm just gonna press it to get a little product on my brush. I'm gonna tap off the excess. I always recommend tapping off the excess with all of your products really, but especially when you're working with darker eyeshadows, because the last thing you want is that dark shadow to fall and then ruin your concealer or your foundation. So yes, it might mean that you need to go back in and grab a little bit more, but it'll just give a prettier overall finish. And I'm just gonna keep that brush in the same spot and just work in little circles. Notice I'm not going back and forth, back and forth. The reason being is because I'm trying to keep that depth and that dark color really concentrated to the outer corner. If I go back, forth, then I'm taking the darker color and I am going too far over, which for my eye shape, it's gonna close my eye off. I mean, it really will close any eye off, but I have smaller eyes and I don't wanna close them off. I want them to look round and open, so I'm not gonna do that. If I had larger eyes and I wanted to create more of an almond shape or kind of make them look a little bit smaller, then I would do that. But for my eye shape, I'm just gonna keep it right here. I think it's really important to explain kind of the why behind what we do, because it can be very easy to watch makeup tutorials, whether they're here on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, wherever you consume your makeup tutorials, and you see someone do a makeup look and it's beautiful, and you feel like you need to create and do the exact same steps with the exact same products and textures and colors that they did. But you have to remember that we all have different features. Our features are not only shaped differently, they're different sizes, different colors, our eyes are, it's just so many variables. So understanding the theory behind makeup and why we do what we do will really help you just elevate your makeup skills to do your own makeup better, Okay, so next I'm gonna take a color to pop it onto my lid and inner corner. And I want something kind of light and bright today. I really want that contrast of the outer corner and the lid to really pop. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna use this lightest shade right here. It's just a really pretty kind of pearlescent, soft, pale, peachy, shimmery shade. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna use the same brush. This is actually the 205. It's the same brush that I demonstrated on how not to use it underneath the brow. We're gonna use that. I'm gonna use the side of the brush to really pick up product. Now the reason I'm using this brush is because I do want to pick up a lot of product and I want to deposit a lot of product. So I'm just going to press it onto the inner corner of my lid and kind of softly blend to meet that darker shade. Now this color is great to make the eyes pop and make it appear like you have more lid space for two reasons. One, it's light, so it's lighter than my skin tone. So that's gonna, draw attention, make an area appear a little larger. It's also got shimmer to it. So a shimmer or sheen, frost, all of those textures reflect light. So again, that is also going to give the illusion that the lid is larger than maybe it actually is. So when you combine that with the technique of putting a matte dark shade in the outer corner, those really just make that lid pop and your eyes pop. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going in and packing this. I want that to really be opaque, meaning I don't want you to be able to see through it. I want it to be full color and coverage and very even. Next, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take that same brush that we applied the darker shade, and I'm not adding anything to it. I'm just taking the brush and we're just gonna kind of go right back over where we already did. What I'm doing here is just in case we had any of that shimmer from that light shade kind of find its way over to the outer corner, I want to cover that, because when you combine like a really light shimmery shade and you put it on top of a darker matte shade, over time throughout the day it can kind of look a little muddy. We don't want that. So I'm just gonna go back and basically just clean up that outer corner, make sure that it's nice and perfect. Okay, perfect. Oh, I love that. I just love, I mean, it's a simple look, simple colors, but I just love it. It's my favorite look to do. So I want to keep the liner on top pretty clean and thin. So I'm actually going to use a liquid liner pen. This is by Flower Beauty in the shade Dark and Stormy. It's like a rich, rich chocolate brown. And I'm going to use the tip of this and I'm going to lay it on its side to give me a little bit more control. And I'm just going to create little sketches on my lash line rather than trying to create one perfect line. I'm probably guaranteed to mess it up. I'm gonna do little tiny strokes. And I wanna keep this as thin as possible. So I'm actually gonna kind of rest the pen onto my lashes. When I get to the outer corner right here, I'm gonna kind of wing it up and out. I don't want a dramatic wing here, but I do want a little flick up to kind of pull the eye up and elongate the eye. Perfect. Do you see how nice and clean and tight that is? The reason I want to keep it tight is because I really don't want it to take up all this precious real estate that I have on my lid, and I don't want to cover up that eyeshadow. I basically just want my lash line to look very thick. Okay, so I've got a really clean, tight liner on my upper lash line. My lower lash line, we're going to go a different direction. I want to keep it soft. I want to have a little bit of shimmer there so it even softens it some more. And I'm not going to go as dark as I did up top. In fact, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a eyeshadow crayon, and I'm going to use a new shade from Bobbi Brown. They came out with some new shades, and my favorite eyeshadow crayons, where's the one that I love right now? Soft Bronze. Okay, so they came out with a shade called Soft Bronze, and we're going to apply this on the lower lash line. Now, this has quite a bit of shimmer, so it actually is going to go on lighter than it looks. I'm going to layer this, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a shadow and we're going to set the outer corner a bit just to deepen the outer corner. Such a pretty color. Let me actually show you a swatch on my hand so you can see what this looks like. It's actually a pretty soft bronze. I guess that's the name of it. But even with a shimmer to it, it makes it look even softer when the light hits it. Do you see how soft it looks there when the light hits it? When there's a shadow, it looks a little bit deeper. Okay, and I'm gonna take a small little smudger brush and we're gonna go in with the first shade that we laid down in the crease, this color here, and we're just gonna kind of layer that right on the outer corner. This is the 209 from BK Beauty, by the way. It's a nice smudger brush, but it's got a little bit of length, so you can use it to smudge the lower lash line, but you can also use it right in the inner corner. And if you've got really small hooded eyes, you can even use it as your eyelid brush. So I curled my lashes and applied mascara off camera. Today I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. For lips, I'm gonna use this new lip pencil by Too Faced, and I actually used one the other day, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts on it. I kind of have mixed feelings about it. This is the Too Faced Lip Injection Extreme Lip Shaper. This is a plumping lip pencil. If you're familiar with Too Faced, they have the Lip Plumper Gloss, and it has a pretty intense lip plumping effect. You know when you know the old school lip plumpers? I feel like the first one I ever used was like called something like bee's venom or bee something. It had the word bee in it because it stung like a bee and it was pretty uncomfortable. I feel like Too Faced is not quite that extreme, but it's more of the extreme lip plumpers than I've tried. And I was pretty shocked that the lip pencil had the same effect. I didn't expect it to. So I grabbed two shades. I grabbed Puffy Nude and I grabbed Post-Op Pink. Let me swatch these for you guys so you can see what they look like. So I used Puffy Nude yesterday. That is this one here. Just a nice, pretty, pale, peachy nude. I was expecting it to be a little bit more pink. The swatch on the box looked a little more pink to me. And then we're gonna go in and swatch Post-Op Pink. Let's see if this is more pink, because I did want a pink one. I do like that it has this little like push up on the end, but it's not retractable. So make sure that you don't over dispense too much product. Okay, so this is called Post-Op Pink, and this is kind of like a peachy pink. I think that this color will definitely shift depending on your skin tone. On me, it definitely leans more peach. It's a really soft, pretty color. So this shade is a little more cool tone. This one's definitely a little more warm. We're gonna go in with this one because I used the other one yesterday. Now, I will say that the plumping effect isn't immediate. You don't feel it right away, but after the product's been on your lips for about 5 or 10 minutes, your lips are pretty, like, I'm fine with it. It wasn't uncomfortable for me. I didn't want to remove it, but I will say if you're more sensitive to these types of products, it's pretty intense. Okay, now I actually have a little bit of lip product on right now. Let me blot it. I was gonna use my hand. Let's make less of a mess and use a paper towel. So let's go ahead and line the lips. I really like the consistency of these. They're very soft. They have a pretty strong scent. If you think of, it's like a yummy scent. You know, it smells like something that you'd eat. A very sweet scent. And I'm gonna line the lip line slightly overline right here at the top. And then I'm actually gonna fill in my lips. These do kind of soften texture on the lips and make everything look a little bit smoother. Okay, I'm starting to feel the tingling happening. I'm gonna press my lips together. Definitely starting to feel that. And you're gonna feel it everywhere you applied it. So if you just line the border of your lip, you're just gonna feel it on the border. If you fill in your whole lip, you will feel it all over the whole lip. Yesterday, I kind of overlined and I could feel it on my skin. It was interesting because it felt like it was more sensitive outside of the lip line than on the actual lip. Okay, there it goes. Really pretty color. I love the texture. I love the color payoff. I love how it softens texture and lines and just makes everything look a little bit smooth. Again, the tingliness, is that a word? Doesn't bother me, but I'm giving you a fair warning that if you are sensitive, it is pretty intense. Okay, let's move on to fill in our lip with a lip color. I'm gonna use this lip gloss from Mally Beauty. This is the Positively Plump lip gloss, and this is the shade Peach Parfait. This is a really beautiful plumping lip gloss, very soft. It definitely doesn't have that intense feeling of a lip plumper like the Too Faced does. More peachy nude. Got a nice kind of moderate level of pigment. I would say it definitely leans more on the sheer side. That's why I wanted to line my lip, like fill in my lip with lip liner. So this is the finished look. I'll have all the products that I use listed and linked with the shade names down in the description box below for you. I'll also put them in the comments and I'll pin the comment if it's easier for you to find that way. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you have a beautiful day and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.